Let's go, WCC. Give me some energy. Let's go. All right. All right. Am I broken? That's the thought I had in the first grade when my mother told me that I had been diagnosed with asthma. And the sad thing is, it caused me to do a lot of stupid things. And she told me some things that at the end of the day I didn't believe as I got older was true. But I'll never forget, as we have friends and family members over, I'm running around playing. We're playing hide and seek. I remember hide and seek, and before you know it, my chest's getting tight, and I have to go sit in timeout. I have to go sit in timeout because I have to take a breathing treatment. Some of y'all know what that is if you have asthma, but the fact of the matter is, I hated it. I didn't like asthma, and my mom, she saw it, and she told me, she's like, son, because you have asthma, you have a very special power. You have the ability to breathe underwater. I'm like, huh? Okay. So being in the first grade, I went to Mac school in Ann Arbor, and they have a pool there if you don't know. But the thing is, I remember going over to the shallow end, and I'm just standing there, and I took a deep breath, and I inhaled as I was actually going to hold my breath, but I stuck my head in the water, and I tried to breathe. As water filled up my lungs, I started choking and gagging, and the lifeguard came and pulled me out the water and just trying to obviously see if I'm okay. And I told him I failed. I failed miserably. I can't breathe underwater. And he couldn't believe what he was hearing, but they took me to the office, and they called my mom, and my mom candidly said, son, you cannot breathe underwater. I was just telling you that because I wanted you to feel better about having asthma. And I'm like, well, I was angry. I'm like, you owe me a superpower. I'm like, because I still have asthma, and I can't breathe underwater. So the thing is, I had to literally, well, for one, that was my first experience at failure, like as a kid. But I had a whole lot more, slews of failures in the years to come. And I think about this because with failure and perspectives and everything we've been talking about today, it's all about your perspective. And when I think about what is a perspective, okay, a perspective is literally your way of receiving information, processing that information, and making decisions. And I feel like when we go off into the world and we make our decisions based on whatever perspective that we have that was formed by what is called the default mode network, it's just how you think, whatever your experiences are. But the fact of the matter is not every single perspective that we start out with is ideal. And I'm going to tell you, my perspective was destroyed in the sense of all of the things that I went through. And most people have a common theme when it comes down to perspectives. Most people fear failure. I mean, no one likes to fail. But the thing that I had to learn was to fall in love with failure. And that was the thing that I had to eventually, and I'll talk about it later, but I had to eventually become comfortable with that. And most people avoid change and discomfort. And I hear the saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And no one want to hear that. I want to be able to have my cake and eat it too and do whatever it is that I want to do without having to worry about anything changing. But one thing that we always do as human beings, I feel like we make unreasonable and irrational choices because we're trying to avoid change and discomfort. We're trying to run away from impending failure that we may believe is there. But nevertheless, I was 19 years old when I decided to get married. We got married because we was living together and we wanted to appease our parents. It's like, okay, well, you're not supposed to be living together and not married. All right, let's get hitched. It lasted for 9 months. So I had a failed marriage at 19 years old. And the thing is, that did shift and that influenced my perspective because I thought to myself, I'm not going to get married again. I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. And that was my perspective. But then I ended up becoming homeless. And that also impacted my perspective. Because being homeless is a whole different world. I mean, you're thinking about, I just wanted to have an apartment where I can stick the key in the door, go inside, close the door, be safe, and maybe have some food. That's all I wanted when I was homeless. But the thing that I understood being homeless is the fact that you only think about survival. You don't think about long term. And having that perspective ingrained in you in that situation, that will cause you to make several other life decisions based on that type of way of thinking. And I'm going to tell you, that is extremely destructive because you're so short-sighted, you're making life-changing decisions with a short-sighted way of thinking. And that's the thing I had to get out of the habit of doing. But last but not least, my asthma, as I hold my inhaler right here. But the asthma thing is the fact, I love asthma. I'm glad I have it because it taught me the fact that I have to literally do whatever it is that I want to do and not do what people told me I cannot do. And now one thing I will say I didn't do was I wanted to join the Army and someone said, yeah, no one is going to want you because you're a flat-footed asthmatic. And the Army, they can't use you. So I didn't ever try to go to the recruiter's office and say, hey, can I join? But one thing I did do is I did pick up the biggest brass instrument known to man. I played the tuba. I picked that up in the 5th grade. And then someone told me, like, yeah, you think you want to play that? Yeah, man, you should play like a piccolo or a flute or something. I'm like, well, I'll show you. Then I went and played my tuba. And that's just, but the thing is, I played my tuba from elementary school to middle school, all through high school, and I ended up getting a full ride scholarship to Howard University, but I didn't go. That's another story. But anyhow, the fact of the matter is I had to ignore everything that everyone said about my limitations. They said, because you have asthma, you can't do this, or you can't do that. Nevertheless, how did I fix it? I began literally challenging how I made my decisions. I had to look at every single thing that I did after I started to realize, okay, I need to start making better decisions. And I started just reverse engineering it. How did I end up here? Okay, well, what did I drink? What did I smoke? What did I do? What did I eat? And I'm in this terrible situation here now. So when I think about all of that, I'm like, okay, maybe I should stop doing this over here. And through deductive reasoning, just looking at everybody around me and the people I used to hang out with and things I used to do, I'm like, okay, well, you do this and you're not going anywhere. You're doing that and you're still anywhere. So I had to understand, like, okay, if I keep thinking like this, I'm going to end up that way. But also I had to consume information that helped me make better decisions. And I'm going to tell you, it is a simple process, but it's a long road. It's a, whatever you want to call it, it's a difficult process. It's a continuous process. That's how I see it. But I didn't even know that this was a thing. I read a book called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. It talks about metacognition, actively thinking about what you think about. So I had to really start thinking about, okay, well, why do I think, well, where did that thought come from? Okay, where is it going to take me? Okay, what am I going to get from it? So, and when I literally did that, and I started challenging it with facts, proof, and evidence, I'm like, okay, well, how does this make sense? I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to make it make sense for me to do it. Like, how is it going to benefit me? How is it going to benefit my family? I'm like, I understand I like to have fun, but there are some things that I had to change. And I'm talking about habits, y'all. I'm not talking about just having fun. I'm talking about habits, because that's what it's all about. It's all about the things that we do all the time that determines where we go. But also the third thing, because it's really a 3-step process, metacognition, challenge how you think with facts, proof, and evidence. But then you have to challenge how you think with exposure and experience, meaning you have to expose yourself to new situations and you have to gain new experiences, because sometimes that's what it takes. It takes actually going over to the Niagara Falls and actually feeling the water and saying, oh man, this is amazing. I want to come back here again. Or going wherever you want to go, the Grand Canyon, anywhere. But the thing is, you have to gain that exposure, and sometimes that's what it takes to get you there. I've been married for 11 years. Now, I had to destroy it and say, I'm not ever going to get married again. I have 3 beautiful kids. I own my home. I'm like, okay, I just wanted to have an apartment. I didn't want to be homeless anymore. But I'm also doing what I love, and I love fixing things. I'm a mechanic. I like to fix some things around the house. I like fixing relationships, friendships, whoever. I mean, if you have a problem, I'll try to help you figure it out. That's what I love to do. But the thing is, I realized that I had to fall in love with failure. And the thing is, it's not more so falling in love with failure. It's just if I had to trick myself to say, okay, well, failure is like the stumbling block to getting to where I need to go. But in reality, failure is just a part of the process. And as I like this illustration here, I wish I could put way more fails in that ladder right there. But because if it was easy, everyone would do it. But it becomes easy when you fall in love with it. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you fail so many times, and the way I say this way, the more times you fail, when you finally get to your level of success, you're going to see how many times that you fail is going to be multiplied times 10, and then you're going to be like, okay, now I love failure. Now I see why. Because it's simply a part of the process, and that's something to love. That's my time, y'all.